Thank you for joining the January APQC orientation. We'll get started in just a few minutes. But first, I want to go over a couple housekeeping items. You have the option to listen to the presentation today through either your computer speakers or a dial-in conference line. All phone lines are muted. Please submit your questions using the Q&A tool located on the right side of your screen. You can enter your questions at any time, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. We are recording today's presentation, and you will receive a copy of both the recording and the slides within just a few days. After the presentation, there will be a short survey for you to provide feedback on today's webinar. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to APQC Relationship Manager Charles Neville.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me this morning to learn more about APQC and the APQC membership. Again, my name is Charles Neville. I'm a relationship manager here at APQC. I've been here for about 14 years. And who we are. APQC is the world's foremost authority in benchmarking, best practices, process and performance improvement, and knowledge management. APQC's unique structure as a member-based nonprofit makes it a differentiator in the marketplace. APQC partners with more than 500 member organizations worldwide in all industries. The mission of APQC is threefold. We research, so APQC conducts research to discover and document world-class best practices. We share, meaning we share proven methodologies and processes, and we connect. We assist organizations around the world in adapting and using benchmarks and best practices. We work with our customers and with our clients and with our members under the Grace and Guarantee. And the Grace and Guarantee embodies the fact that we provide trustworthy answers, lasting solutions, not quick fixes, fearless creativity and structured innovation, individual contribution for collective achievement, and continual learning, sharing, and growth. With the Grace and Guarantee, you will be assured that you'll work smarter, faster, and with greater confidence with our expertise and services. These are some of the highlights of the APQC history. We have a growing global membership roster of 550 organizations in over 45 industries. 1985, we co-founded the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. 1992, we developed a business taxonomy with the process classification framework, which we'll look at a little bit more in depth later. We launched the Open Standards Benchmarking Collaborative, which we still coordinate. It's the world's largest metric database of its type. And you can see the rest of our history there. The highlights in 2016, we launched APQC Solution to simplify business process management with a tool that we provide to members called Mosaic, which is a cloud-based secure environment that will help you measure, manage, and learn more about your organization. APQC membership, we actually have two different types of membership. We have what's called a functional membership, and we have knowledge management, supply chain, finance, and now we also have a human capital management membership. The access to the best practice benchmarking is limited. You get access to the best practice benchmarking, case studies, tools, templates based on the function selected. We also have what's called the enterprise membership. Enterprise membership, you have access to everything. In other words, unrestricted access to best practices, case studies, tools, templates across the enterprise, and all the benchmarking. You also get some additional membership benefits with the enterprise membership, including free conference tickets, 4 hours of virtual consulting, and a 4-hour Mosaic Jumpstart. Under the APQC membership, whether it's a functional membership or whether it's an enterprise membership, every employee is a member. You get access to the content, benchmarking, and best practice data pertaining to, if it's enterprise, all research disciplines, and if it's functional, the particular area that you, or function that you've subscribed to, along with networking. And again, with the functional membership, everybody's a member, but again, just access to the function that you're subscribed to, whether it's finance, human capital, knowledge management, or supply chain management. Why do members use APQC? There are a variety of reasons, and we've listed a few of them here. I think since I've been here, one of the most common, one of the most common reasons that members use APQC is to either assess their performance against the world's largest metric database, fix a problem, or improve current operations. And people are always wanting to learn from best practices to help them grow their personal expertise. Of course, again, there's other reasons, including validating a recommendation or a position, or to help set up a new function or role. The APQC member resources include access to the APQC knowledge base, which we affectionately call the KB. And that's the world's largest online source of best practice, business drivers, benchmarks and metrics, case studies, and other unique content based on primary research. Our research covers 70 process areas. There's over 5,000 pieces of content, over 700 case studies, over 1,000 best practices and business drivers, and over 200 reports and books. As I mentioned, we talked a little bit more about the process classification framework. At its simplest level, it's a list that organizations use to define work processes comprehensively and without redundancies. And the PCF, process classification framework, is used for a myriad of purposes, including standardized definitions around processes. It'll help you benchmark internally and with other organizations. With these standard processes, it'll allow you to give apples-to-apples comparisons for benchmarking. It's a great way to discuss organizational performance using the same terminology across business units and departments. And a lot of organizations use it as well to organize enterprise content and knowledge. APQC's benchmarking portal, so again, this is another one of the member resources, puts critical performance data at your fingertips. You have 3 tools available in the portal. The second 2 tools, Rapid Performance Assessment and the Open Standards Benchmarking, are similar in as much as you submit your data in the form of an assessment. We do a 7-step validation process. We compare your data to our database, and within a short period of time, we send you back a report. In the Open Standards Benchmarking, it takes us 2 weeks standard reporting time, and you get a very detailed report of performance at the process level in your organization. With the Rapid Performance Assessment, it's more of a diagnostic. You'll get an executive summary report identifying possible performance problems at the function level in your organization, and the turnaround time with the Rapid Performance Assessment is 2 days. The benchmarks on demand are different than the first 2 ways in as much as you don't have to submit data, okay? Obviously, it's an online tool and your results are instantaneous. You'll get the top, median, and bottom performance metric values for selected metrics. And as I mentioned, Mosaic. Members will have access to Mosaic as well. It's our cloud-based tool to help you measure, manage, and learn about your organization's processes and contexts. It'll help you manage cross-functional processes, establish a common language for enterprise architecture, and you'll be able to create an environment to solve process problems. In short, Mosaic has all of the process classification frameworks loaded into it, and it has a drag and drop environment that'll help you customize your frameworks. It's designed with you in mind, whether you're part of a centralized function, whether you're part of a decentralized function, whether you're trying to break through process silos, you can be working in a professional services firm, you can actually create process management tool synergies, and it's a great way to help you align strategic goals with an executive dashboard and customize a process framework. And this is just a little bit more about Mosaic. And again, you can create your custom framework. The frameworks are loaded on one side. You can drag and drop. You might drag a base framework over here, and then where there's gaps in that base framework, you kind of just draw from other frameworks and pull over onto that side. And you can use the feed. There's also a feed, and you'll have all of your best practices and your metrics in one place. And again, you can export that custom framework into a Excel file. We also have events. These are our two major in-person events. We have the APQC 2019 Knowledge Management Conference. It'll be April 29th through May 3rd at the Westin Hotel in Memorial City here in Houston. And then in September, we have the Process and Performance Management Conference. That'll be here at the Houstonian Hotel that's close to APQC. And as you can see, on a weekly basis, we have webinars and community calls where APQC shares findings from research, including best practices, benchmarks, case studies, and trends on topics ranging from process improvement to knowledge management. And now I am going to show you the website in the form of a guided tour. So when you go to www.apqc.org, the website will look like this, okay? So if you're a member or if you're not a member, go to the website, and really I'm logged in now. When I'm not logged in, there'll be a box. You just enter your corporate email address and follow the steps. If you're a non-member, you'll get non-member access. That'll get you access to about 10–15% of the content in the knowledge base, and it will let you at least see the open standards benchmarking data collection tools. The membership is basically in two pieces. The knowledge base is the qualitative side, or the how-to. The benchmarking portal is the quantitative side. This is how you find out how you stand, where you stand against the world's largest metric database of its type. When you click benchmarking portal, you'll see these three, for lack of a better term, doors. And as I explained before, these are the three ways that members get their metrics through their APQC membership: the Open Standards Benchmarking, the Rapid Performance Assessment, and the Benchmarks on Demand. Even if you're a non-member, you can actually see the Open Standards Benchmarking. And when you click it, you'll see that it's based on the widely adopted APQC process classification framework. These are the different research areas, and it's aligned to the PCF. The highest level of the process classification framework, also known as a PCF, is a whole number, also known as a category. So if I clicked, for instance, I think most people know about finance, okay? And just remember, all of these work the same way. If you click a category, the assessments populate. If you click one, the assessments populate. Then go back to finance. So these are the different areas that you can measure in finance. I'm going to go ahead and pick AP, accounts payable, and expense reimbursement. And when you click that one, and remember, they all work the same way. When you click an assessment, it takes you to the home page of that particular assessment, and it tells you the benefits of filling out that assessment, talks about the scope. And when you're on this page, I always suggest access the Excel data collection tool. And again, even if you're not a member, you can actually go in and look at this. And if there's an area that you're considering doing some benchmarking in, I would strongly suggest that you go and download this Excel data collection tool. From left to right, and let me just click that. From left to right at the bottom, you've got the cover, the terms, the instructions. You get a copy of the survey itself, okay? Glossary of terms. Here's the process classification framework, and let's look at that a little bit more in depth. So I mentioned this is a good way to help also people use this to scope out their benchmarking projects. So when we go down, and that's what we're going to use it for right now, when we go down to 8.0, manage financial resources, that's the category. 1 decimal is a process group. So 8.1, perform planning and management accounting. 8.2, revenue accounting. These are process groups. 8.3, general accounting and reporting. 8.4, fixed asset project accounting. 8.5, we've got payroll. 8.6, process accounts payable and expense reimbursements. So we know the scope of our benchmarking is going to be from 8.6 all the way there, because 8.7 is another process group, measure treasury operations. So that's the scope of our benchmarking. Under that process group, you're going to have processes. The next decimal is the process. Process accounts payable is 861. 862, process expense reimbursements. The next decimal is the activities that someone would perform. Just remember, we don't have on the framework every single thing that every single company has. That makes sense. And every single company doesn't have everything on this framework. But when you look at this, it's a tremendous starting point. Okay. Generally speaking, level 1 categories are going to be very similar to any organization. Level 2, the process groups, again, are going to be very similar. Level 3, you might start seeing some variances, and I'll show you a typical variance here would be 8.5, process payroll. Half the companies I deal with, payroll falls under finance. Another half of the companies I deal with, payroll falls under HR. For those companies, they just take that whole payroll process group and they move it over to HR, okay? The next step, the next tab, is a list of measures. Think of it as a list of metrics that you get back if you turned in the assessment. From left to right, you have the measure ID, that's our internal numbering scheme, the name of the measure, cycle time in days from receipt of invoice until approved and scheduled for payment. It's a cycle time metric. We divide our metrics into different categories. We've got staff productivity, process efficiency, cycle time, cost effectiveness. We've got some additional operational metrics and some supplemental information. They're all checked so you can see them all. Then you've got the PCF ID in the PCF element. If you take, for instance, the PCF element and you go back to the PCF, and I'm just going to do a as if I didn't know, Control F, Control V, and I hit enter, that tells me that that particular measure is mapped to this particular area of the framework, okay? You can map it by the words, okay, like we did. You can map it by the numbers, okay? The metric formula, don't let that confuse you. This just maps back to the question number on the assessment, and a lot of times it's good to go back and look at the question. So cycle time in days from receipt of invoice until approved and scheduled for payment, okay? Well, what question does that actually relate to? So we go here, and we go Control F, Control B, go down to that question. And I like looking at it because a lot of times it'll give a little bit more depth to the metric. So what is the average cycle time in calendar days, including weekends, from the receipt of an invoice to when it is approved and scheduled for payment? So it told you a little bit more. It's saying calendar days and include the weekends, okay? Also, on some of these, you'll notice that you'll have this. When you see that, go ahead and click it because we have some definitions embedded. So like I mentioned earlier, you can get this far even without the membership. And I have people tell me all the time that this already brings some value to our organization. We can use your process classification framework, first of all, to help us map and define our processes, governance, who's responsible for this, who's responsible for that, standardization. Everybody's using the same terminologies now, okay? And then also, you've got an associated list of measures. I would never suggest to anyone use every single one of these measures, okay? But I would definitely suggest, hey, under cycle time, what are you measuring? Measure something. Under cost effectiveness, measure something. Staff productivity, measure something, and so on, okay? Again, I wouldn't use every single measure on here, but I would measure something in each one of those categories. Invariably, what will happen is these conversations will get started. You'll have some areas where you're not measuring anything at all, and you'll decide, hey, let's start measuring this. There'll be some areas where you've been measuring stuff all along, and the conversation will be, are these measures still relevant? Are they still tied to our strategic goals? So now you've got a list of measures that are standard in industry that can generate these kind of conversations. Invariably, what will happen is once you land on that set of measures, people will start asking you, how do we compare in cycle time and days from receipt of invoice until payment is transmitted? Or how do we compare in cycle time and days to resolve an invoice error? That's where the membership comes into place, okay? If you want to know that, you go back to the survey, fill out 65% of this assessment, you send it back to us, we do our 7-step validation process, compare your data to our database, and then within 2 weeks, we send you back the report. The report will show your site, the median, and the top performers by quartile, and it'll be broken down by industry, by region, and by size of company. Remember though, we offer you a tool set. Oops. Under the benchmarking portal, there we go, you also have access to the rapid performance assessment. What I showed you first, the open standards, is our most detailed set of assessments. The rapid performance assessment is different because it's a lot shorter, typically 10 to 20 questions in length. It's easy. Data can be readily collected from operational systems or from a minimal number of individuals, and it's fast. The validation begins immediately. The reports are typically returned within a few days. Again, I see a lot of our members use this as a diagnostic. I also see members use this with their directors and the higher level people in their organizations because they don't need all of those details. They just want a high level type of view of that particular functional area or that process group. So when we click 8.0 and we were talking about AP, since you can't see this without the membership, I'm going to go ahead and download this so you can have an idea of the difference of the length. This is a list of measures for the rapid performance. As you can see, it's from line 2 down to line 27. So you've got basically, what, 25 measures? When you look at the open standards and the list of measures there, it goes from line 2 and on and on. That's how much more detailed this one is, okay? So again, a tool set. Rapid performance assessment, maybe you just want to do a diagnostic. And if you run that and everything's good, just move to the next area. No reason to do the deep dive. If you get that report back and it's not good, you might want to go ahead and do that open standards to get a more detailed understanding of where the problems are. Again, a tool set. Benchmarks on demand is your other tool. Often, you won't even want to do benchmarking. You just need those metrics. This is our online tool. We were dealing with 8.0, the line to the framework. Here's your drill downs, okay? If I pick 8.0, it's going to give us everything below there. But we were talking about AP, 8.6, process accounts payable and expense reimbursements. So when I click that, this is the same list of measures that you get from the open standards. You can pick and choose as many or as few as you want. Whenever you see a asterisk, that's a key performance indicator. That was established by subject matter experts, members, non-members, some of the consultants had input, and also some academics. I'm going to select them all. Step 2, you set up a peer group. So I'm going to, you've got to call it something first, so I'm going to call it test. And let's go by industry, and you can see all of these industries. They're aligned to the North American Industry Classification System, or the NACIS codes. I'm going to pick consumer packaged goods. That's one of the areas that I handle. By region, and the nice thing about this, you can look at other areas as well, okay? So CPG, region, you can pick Asia Pac, Europe, Middle East, Africa. I'm going to pick North and South America. And then revenue, size of company by revenue. I'm just going to pick that's a pretty big one. Let's pick let's pick 5 to 10, okay? So CPG, North and South America, between 5 and 10 billion. All we do now is view report, okay? This is how you just pull down the metrics from our database. From left to right, that's our internal numbering scheme. That's the measure category. It's a cycle time measure. Right there, that asterisk means it's a key performance indicator. So cycle time in days from receipt of the invoice until approved and scheduled for payment. For your industry, consumer packaged goods, okay, regardless of region, regardless of size, we have 256 companies that reported this. The bottom report, the bottom takes them 7 days. The median is 4 days. The top performers do it in 2.75 days. For all companies in North and South America, regardless of size, regardless of industry, we've got 1,338 companies. Bottom, median, and top. For companies this size, regardless of region, regardless of industry, sample size, bottom, median, and top. And for all companies in our database, sample size, bottom, median, and top. So when you look at this, you're actually seeing 4 different views of the same metric. A lot of times when you present data and you say, hey, this is the median for our industry, a lot of times people, well, we're different. We're different, okay? Okay, we won't pick our industry. We'll pick companies in our interesting. 4 and 4. Oh, we're different. Okay, fine. How about companies our size? Again, 4. How about all companies? Well, I hate to tell you, it's 4, okay? It doesn't matter how you look at it, it's 4, okay? You can PDF or you can Excel it. Obviously, if you Excel it, you can generate all kinds of fancy charts and graphs. So I've just covered the 3 different ways that you can get your metrics through your APQC membership, the Open Standards benchmarking, the rapid performance assessment, or you can just pull down the data from our database. The question is, though, once you get this data, what do you do with it? What do we do with it? We got all this data. What do we do with it? Okay? Obviously, you're identifying opportunities for improvement, and you start prioritizing those. And when you want to know how best practice organizations function, or you want to get some input from experts on how to proceed, that's the second part of the membership. The knowledge base is our qualitative side, or the how-to. You can find content and information aligned to the process classification framework, or you can do it by topic. I really like doing it by the framework, honestly, because you can just go down to 8.0, then you get your drill downs right there, okay? We're talking about 8.6, process accounts payable and expense reimbursements. There's 191 pieces of content. When we click that and just look up, that content is divided between articles and white papers, 34, benchmarks and metrics, 71, got 2 case studies, so on and so forth, okay? And I'm just going to click one of these articles and white papers, okay? Whoops, articles and white papers, okay? Transforming accounts payable. You got a Q&A with media. Benchmarking and improving accounts payable with Ernie Humphrey. Blueprint for success. Here's a good one. Common reasons financial shared services fail and what to do about it. Click that. APQC recently authored an entry in CFO Magazine's Metric of the Month column discussing shared services. This article focused on one key performance indicator for shared services, FTEs per billion revenue, and associated characteristics of top performers. You can download that piece of content. You can go ahead and read it, okay? You just talk it right there, how shared services fail for finance, and it talks about it, okay? Ways to improve financial service, shared service centers. And it talks, find ways to standardize the underlying systems being used, and consider moving to a single cloud-based platform. Set goals for FTE efficiency and total costs. So you can download this content, and obviously, as you can see right there, it gives you good ideas and comments from experts that will help you proceed. So you can download our content, but also under the knowledge base, you can access our experts. If all you do is type in a question, put it in the right area, the relationship managers get an alert. Most of them, like myself, will escalate it, and we have a team of research analysts, project managers, and subject matter experts here to help. Most questions will be answered within 2 to 3 business days. More complex questions will require additional time. So you can access our content, you can access our experts, and through the knowledge base, we have a really nice networking tool called Find a Peer. You can click that and you can browse and sort the APQC member directory and actually reach out to other members of APQC. When you do the search, you'll get first name, last name, name of the company, country, their title, and the last link will be send an email. When you click that, a short form comes up. You type in a subject, you type in your message, goes directly to their corporate inbox. A lot of members of APQC will answer those for a couple reasons. Obviously, it's self-serving, okay? When I answer one, if I have a problem, I have a whole group of people I can go back to. People are setting up their own benchmarking opportunities. I always suggest, hey, when you get the membership, try to expand your professional network. Send about 4 or 5 of these out. So this is what it looks like, the peer-to-peer search. And again, you'll get the first name, the last name, the title, name of the company, their industry, their country, and there's your send an email, okay? Quick benefits recap of your APQC member benefits. Comprehensive access. Membership includes all employees of every majority-owned subsidiary with no limit to the seats. You have access to the knowledge base, or the KB, our online searchable knowledge base containing best practice reports, case studies, tools, and templates. You'll have access to the benchmarking portal to find out where you stand against the world's largest metric database of its type. You'll have access to our experts through Ask Us, and you'll be able to attend expert-led webinars. And one thing that I always like to mention, and I think it's one of your key resources, we don't just sell you this membership and tell you to go figure it out. You get a relationship manager, and our primary responsibility is to make sure that you get maximum return on investment on the membership. So whenever you have a question, whenever you need anything, please always feel free to call or email. That's our job. We have some additional resources as well. We have a group that does advisory services. A lot of companies will call that consulting. The nice thing about it is our members get 20% off of all of our consulting, and our advisory services provides knowledge augmentation needed to implement change and transform your business. With our expertise, we have helped countless organizations assess capabilities and performance, develop strategies and action plans, drive improvement projects, transfer knowledge. Our advisors provide methodologies and expertise to leverage your assets to overcome your organization's unique challenges. We'll work with you to assess where your organization is today, where you want to be, and the steps you need to take to reach that goal. So what are your next steps? Make sure you're registered and invite your colleagues to sign up, access the knowledge base, and check out our assessment tools. So if there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Charles. The first question is, can you still register even if your company's not a member?
That's an excellent question. And the answer is absolutely yes. We want you to register. Absolutely. Whether your company is a member, whether your company is a non-member. I want you to understand as well, though, your access is going to be limited as a non-member. But there's some good stuff in there that you can use. So please do, whether you're a member or a non-member.
Thank you so much, Charles. The next question is, do you get a discount if you're a member and you go to the conference?
Fantastic question. And let me answer that question in two ways. Yes and yes. Okay. First of all, if you're an enterprise member, your organization is going to get 2 free tickets. And then as a member, you're going to get discounts on every other ticket past that. So you're going to get 2 free tickets. You're going to get discounts on the additional tickets. And if you bring a group of 3 or more, you're going to get even a bigger discount. Great question.
Perfect. And the next question is, when you buy a membership, is it by per person or is it for the whole company?
Awesome question. That's an excellent question. It's one of my favorite to answer because it really shows the value of the APQC membership. It's good for everyone in your organization, every majority-owned subsidiary with no limit to the seats.
And that's all the questions.
Thank you.